A subscriber of mine, Keith, has sent me this really interesting Business Insider article with things that Europeans allegedly find strange or weird about the USA or about America. And since I've just been to the US, Georgia actually, I thought, well, let's have a look if I agree or disagree with those points. So let's get started.
A while back I recorded a video about 10 things that I love about America. If you haven't watched it, shame on you. Well, then you should go back and watch it. If you have, I want to give you my top 10 things that I hate about America today. And before I get too angry, let's get started.
Alright, so first thing on the list is going to be the drinking age. So in 1984, US Congress passed the National Minimum Drinking Age Act, which coerced states to raise their drinking age to the infamous 21, and did so by threatening to take away a portion of a given state's federal highway funding. As you're perhaps familiar, all states eventually complied. Crossing the Atlantic, however, in Germany, you can drink beer and wine at the age of 16 and spirits at 18, so big cultural difference there to begin with, but what I found particularly interesting was that at age 14, you can drink beer and wine with the consent of a parent or guardian.
Because you do know, folks, living in this country, you're bound to know that every time you're exposed to advertising, you realize once again that America's leading industry, America's most profitable business, is still the manufacture, packaging, distribution, and marketing of bullshit.
America the beautiful or America the bully? Let's talk about it today. I know a lot of people from other countries, and they all kind of have this image of Americans as lazy or uneducated about otherworldly things. Do you share that perception?
Well, it depends really whom you talk to. I guess in the Midwest and, you know, people that do not read the paper regularly and so on and so forth, I think that could easily be true.
People who approach me and say, hey, how are you? That just triggers my inner German and I need to respond, oh, thank you, I'm good.
Number 1. Air conditioning. My school was always freezing cold, especially in the summer. And when I first arrived, I thought I could wear some dresses to class or like shorts or t-shirts. And I figured out pretty quickly that it wasn't possible because everywhere you go it's freezing cold, even in the summer. So I ended up wearing more dresses during the winter.
14 compared to 21, that's a 7-year difference. It's kind of crazy. Also, it was my astute observation that drinking in Germany, well, at least the consumption of beer, was much more of a cultural thing, while I feel in the US it's more of a market and lacks that particular style that Germany has.
High quality, grade A, prime cut, pure American bullshit. And the sad part is that most people seem to have been indoctrinated to believe that bullshit only comes from certain places, certain sources. Advertising, politics, salesmen, not true. Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant. Parents are full of shit, teachers are full of shit, clergymen are full of shit, and law enforcement people are full of shit. This entire country.
If you ask someone who's the chancellor in Germany and what is their position, what do they think? I don't think many people could answer that question here.
Are you an American?
Yes, I am.
Are you a proud American?
Yes, I am.
Why are you proud to be an American?
Because I think it's a great place to live and there's lots of opportunity for all types of people.
Number 7 is a big thing I noticed, tipping. We don't really do it here in Germany. I mean, we do it, but only if the service was exceptional. Then you give like, I don't know, a couple of euros, I suppose, but I wouldn't know what percentage to give or something like that. When I was in the US, I was told that a good tip would be 20%.
Number 2. Taxes. In most European countries, taxes are already included in the price. Not in America. When you're at the store in America, you have to add the taxes by yourself and have to calculate everything. There's nothing more embarrassing than standing at the checkout with your favorite kind of gummy bears and you're not able to pay for them because you have miscalculated.
We don't have purity laws, and for the most part our mainstream beer is, well, no more than yellow tinted water. Not that I would know, of course. So fun fact about me, I had never alcoholed prior to coming to Germany, and my first beer ever was in the city of Bonn. Speaking of Bonn, for this one, let's go back to July 2015. I'm lounging on the Bonn University Hofgarten, enjoying einige kalte deutsche Biere. There are groups like ours all around us, casually drinking, some playing frisbee. There are couples walking in the park, there are children playing in the playground. It's absolutely an incredibly beautiful scene.
This entire country is completely full of shit, and always has been, from the Declaration of Independence to the Constitution to the Star-Spangled Banner, it's still nothing more than one big steaming pile of red, white, and blue all-American bullshit.
Why do you think other people from other countries tend to look at Americans like they're uneducated?
A lot of it is just media. I grew up in Nigeria, actually, so my whole conception of America was TV. So same thing for me. So, and then I actually came and I moved to Ohio, and it was exactly like the way I watched it on TV.
Of the main bill that you have to pay, which was a lot, I thought, and that's why food got so much more expensive over there as well. I paid a whole lot more than I would here just because I have to tip every time, and I didn't want to be cheap, so I always gave 20%.
Number 3, Senior Sunday. Okay, seniors, please don't be offended, but this is bullshit. Senior Sunday. Why? Here in Germany, nobody cares about seniors, really. And nobody in the world really does. So why Senior Sunday? Should, I don't know, Kneel a Tuesday? I could do that. If anybody wants to join me, please do so. Yeah, congratulations. You made it through 12 years of school.
Unfortunately, not one you'll ever likely see in a public place in the US. Why not, you ask? Because here in America we have these little legal technicalities referred to as open container laws. Real bummer, believe me, I know. When I got back to America, all the drinking games I was familiar with were optimized for the great outdoors, such as like Flunkyball. In truth, I don't think America should legalize public drinking unless it first implements some kind of comparable fine system. I just think the mess would be too great. And also I think American culture in regards to drinking and beer has to first evolve because I think it would just be abused into oblivion if you just were like, all public drinking is legal.
Because think of how we started. Think of that. This country was founded by a group of slave owners who told us all men are created equal. Oh yeah, all men, except for Indians and niggers and women, right? Always like to use that authentic American language. This was a small group of unelected white male landholding slave owners who also suggested their class be the only one allowed to vote.
They kind of look at Americans like, you know, they're uneducated and they're just looking for the McDonald's.
Well, I think as a whole we are, you know, absolutely. In comparison to other countries, the history that, well, I mean, we're a young country, but we don't know as much history, I think. So, I mean, I think we're the adolescent of countries and we're rebellious and we're a little naive too as we get into things.
And maybe we're just like going through puberty right now.
Yeah, exactly. We think we know everything, but we really actually don't know too much. We need to be grounded for a couple hundred years, I think, is what it comes down to.
Cashless country. Yeah, the US seems to be very cashless in comparison to Germany. Just yesterday here in Germany I had the experience that I ordered food at an Indian place and wanted to pick it up, and then they told me that I can only pay with cash and I had to go to the nearest bank and get some because I just got back from the US and so I didn't really have any, and that was quite annoying. Something I noticed in the US is that you can pay for every little tiny thing with credit cards.
Being rushed at restaurants. In Europe, if people go out for dinner, they plan on sitting at the table for almost the entire night. People really like to take their time to eat and to talk. In an American restaurant, waitress comes every 10 minutes to ask if everything is okay. They take away your plates, although some people at the table are still eating, and they bring you the check although you haven't finished your meal, which I consider pretty rude. And I don't know, like a meal in America never takes longer than 45 minutes. They want to get you out as fast as possible, which is a good business concept, I guess, but really not necessary.
So this was one of the more surprising things for me when I first arrived in Europe. Considering how progressive Europe seems to be, it really surprised me that Europeans, well at least Germans, smoke as much as they do. I grew up in the US during a time where there were massive anti-smoking campaigns with a constant flow of scare tactic TV ads as well as relentless drug prevention programs in schools. There was really no way you could escape it. When I was in high school, I didn't have any friends that smoked cigarettes, and now that I'm in college even, I only have maybe 1 or 2 friends that do.
Now that is what's known as being stunningly and embarrassingly full of shit. And I think Americans really show their ignorance when they say they want their politicians to be honest. What are these fucking cretins talking about? If honesty were suddenly introduced into American life, the whole system would collapse. No one would know what to do. Honesty would fuck this country up. And I think deep down Americans know that. That's why they elected and re-elected Bill Clinton. That's why.
A lot of people are very helpful, friendly, not all. In restaurants, sometimes.
In the UK, for example, people, it's almost a bit fashionable at times to sort of bash the US, when really they just want to bash what George Bush is doing.
That's interesting. You feel like it might be like a little bit of a trend, or like the in thing to say is, oh, Americans are so stupid, but people really don't feel that way?
I think so, yeah.
24-hour stores. That is something I really liked about the US, that you could go out at any time of night. I mean, I didn't really do it often, but I had the option to do it at least, and to buy something anywhere. Walmart, 24-hour system, right? You can go there in the middle of the night if you feel like it. Here in Germany, you will have a much harder time to find a store like that. Some stores close at 6, and on Sundays everything is closed down except for petrol stations and corner stores.
Number 7. TV shows. I honestly expected a lot from American TV. One day when I was sick, I watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And let me tell you, it is impossible to keep up with them. It's impossible.
I'm hesitant to say it's categorical, but in my experience it seems to be that smoking cigarettes becomes more and more taboo in America every year. So if you've ever been to the grand old US of A, you're probably acutely aware that here in America, we're not as keen on having those fancy bubbles in our agua. Can you buy it here? Sure, but it's not even remotely as popular as it is in Germany, dare I say most of, if not all of Europe.
Because the American people like their bullshit right out front where they can get a good, strong whiff of it. Clinton might be full of shit, but at least he lets you know it. Dole tried to hide it, didn't he? Dole kept saying, I'm a plain and honest man. Bullshit. People don't believe that. What did Clinton say? He said, hi, folks, I'm completely full of shit, and how do you like that?